What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Warren, and the more I think about Venom The Last Dance, Venom 3, ending with Venom going over to the MCU and leaving the Sonyverse, the more it starts to make sense. And I actually think that there is a very specific reason that Venom and Eddie go to the MCU, and I think it has to do with that Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scene. I believe that Venom and Eddie are specifically going to seek out the Avengers. Not only does this make sense story-wise, which we're going to go over today, including a new piece of information about a key plot point of Venom The Last Dance, but it also makes a lot of sense if you really consider what all is going on over at Sony and Marvel Studios right now. And let's be honest, this is what we have been wanting. We've wanted Tom Holland's Spider-Man to interact with Tom Hardy's Venom for a very long time, and actually Sony has wanted that as well. They actually wanted that in the very first Venom movie, but Marvel Studios, aka Kevin Feige, said no because he didn't want people to confuse the universes. And considering how poor the Venom universe went down, not talking about specifically the Venom films, but those other ones, Morbius, Madam Web, good call, Kevin Feige. You wouldn't want people thinking that the Sony Spider-Man universe is the same as the MCU. But we have several reports from several different insiders since the Venom The Last Dance trailer came out that state Venom is indeed going over to the MCU. Venom The Last Dance will set this up, and Knull will follow Venom. And this is the one part that I thought was kind of interesting. What is causing him to follow Venom over to the MCU, over to a different universe, the 616 Sacred Timeline? Well, it looks like we might have found out why specifically Knull needs Venom. And it's actually not just Venom, but it looks like Venom might be the last piece to the puzzle that Knull is trying to put together. And I actually like this because it makes everything kind of make sense. Why Venom and Eddie would leave their universe and why Knull would chase them. It also makes some lines from the trailer make a lot more sense as well. And it seems like some other people really have this question. For example, somebody posted on Twitter at the Venom site said, seriously, what could Eddie and Venom have that Knull needs? And this is kind of playing off the fact that Knull is considered to be greatly stronger than Venom. I mean, Knull is a god and he did create all of the symbiotes. So people are asking, how are Venom and Eddie going to even stand a chance against Knull? But why does Knull even need them? What do they have that Knull needs? And Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus replied to this tweet by stating, Web of Venom, Carnage Born Volume 11. And in this, we find a very interesting word, codexes, pieces of symbiotes that are actually left in the former host. In the comics, Knull needs all of the codexes so he can complete his own suit. Out of everything that I have heard about Venom 3, The Last Dance, rumors, reports, everything, this actually makes the most sense. And Alex Perez has a great track record with scoops, and he is also the one who has stated that Venom and Knull will make their way over to the MCU in Spider-Man 4. Also, the insider My Time to Shine Hello has chimed in and said, you should know in advance that Knull doesn't get a lot of screen time in Venom 3. This is more of a tease for what's to come, further implying that yes, we are going to be seeing Knull again. However, of course, we know that this is the last Venom film. So we know Venom 3 isn't setting up Venom 4, but it could set up Spider-Man 4. But this story of Knull seeking a codex that Eddie has makes a lot of sense for several different reasons, but specifically, it makes Venom and Eddie and Knull going to the MCU makes sense. Knull, the symbiote god, creator of the symbiotes, creator of the all-black Necrosword, basically needs these pieces of symbiotes he has created to create his own type of suit. He needs all of these pieces for it to be complete. So he sends his army of xenophages at him, hoping to kill Eddie and take whatever codex is left inside of him, and of course take the Venom symbiote as well. Now, in the comics, it's actually Carnage who believes that he can combine every codex to awaken Knull. But since we believe for the most part Carnage is gone thanks to the ending of Let There Be Carnage, it seems they changed the story to where Knull needs all of the codexes to be able to essentially become full. And given that fact, it would make sense if Venom and Eddie left their universe, it would make sense that Knull would follow them because he's not going to be full or complete unless he gets the Venom symbiote and the codex inside Eddie. Knowing that, Knull would probably follow them to any and every universe. But Also, if there is indeed a piece of the Venom symbiote in the 616 sacred timeline, like they led us to believe in the Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scene, then it makes even more sense that Knull would make his way over to the 616 timeline, because that is a piece of a symbiote that he requires. It also makes sense as to why other symbiotes are going to be involved in this movie as well, like Toxin. It seems that Knull will require all of the symbiotes that he created to make his own suit. And there's a line in the final trailer for Venom The Last Dance that makes a lot of sense now if we think about this. Dr. Payne says, "The symbiotes weren't sent here by accident. They were running." Then Orwell Taylor says, "From what?" And of course they revealed Knull in this trailer. So that makes a ton of sense. All of the symbiotes are running from Knull because Knull needs all of them back. And Venom and Eddie fleeing to the MCU makes sense on a lot of different levels now, because if Knull just wanted Eddie, then it would be pretty easy for Venom and Eddie to split. However, if there's a piece of Venom inside Eddie, a Codex, then it makes sense that he needs Eddie dead. Also in the trailer, Venom says, "We have something he needs." If it was just him, he would simply say, "He needs me." No "we" involved. But it looks like some of Venom could be inside of Eddie's DNA. It also makes sense why Venom says, "Eddie, I'm with you till the end." One, of course, they have grown attached to each other, quite literally, but emotionally as well. But it also could be Venom probably feels that it's kind of his fault. He bonded with Eddie and now has created a Codex inside of him, and Knull is not going to stop until Eddie is dead and he has that Codex. So on top of actually caring about Eddie, which we know Venom does, he might feel a sense of responsibility. But here's the really cool part. I think Eddie and Venom specifically decide to go to the MCU to try and get the Avengers to help them. Think about the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home with the bartender. In the post-credit scene, the first thing that Eddie says when we see him scribbling notes on napkins at the bar is he says, "So you're telling me this whole place is just filled with super people?" Then he talks about Iron Man. Then he talks about the Hulk. And one of the last things he says is, "Maybe I should go to New York to see this Spider-Man." But Venom also says, "Yeah, this guy's been telling us that for the past few hours." And since Venom can access the hive mind, he probably most likely knows about other superheroes. So when Venom and Eddie decide that, hey, their world is going to be destroyed if they stay there and Knull finds them, perhaps they decide to go to a different world, a different universe, where some super people could really help them. Like Spider-Man, since that was on Eddie's mind the last time we saw Eddie. Literally the last time we saw Eddie in a movie, the last thing he said was maybe he should go find Spider-Man. It would make sense that he would go to this other universe and try to find Spider-Man. And that could bring us directly into Spider-Man 4. And then that also means Knull is going to follow them, because Knull will not be complete until he gets the Codex and Venom. And if they really wanted to go even further, that little piece of the Venom symbiote that was left in the MCU in the post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home, they could have that bond to Spider-Man. That way it could create a Codex within Spider-Man to where Knull would want both of them, and that would create the team up. Venom and Eddie and Peter Parker have to all team up to save their own lives, but the lives of their universes as well, and defeat Knull. Honestly, if this is the plan, it's actually quite good, and everything just really makes sense story-wise. And it would finally tie up the post-credit scene for Venom Let There Be Carnage and Spider-Man No Way Home. It seems like this was indeed the plan for Sony and Marvel. They just decided to do one movie in between to make it make more sense. Maybe I'm giving them a little bit too much credit, but I really think this is the plan. At least I really hope. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below if this is the plan. Do you like this or not? Leave your comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on Venom The Last Dance and, of course, the MCU. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.